7 months ago, heads of states of 120 countries assembled in Glasgow to negotiate quote-unquote climate action. They were committed to reducing the use of coal, encouraging stringent greenhouse emission cuts, and promising more climate finance for developing countries. But what has changed since then? Have the promises been fulfilled?
Almost nothing. Global greenhouse emissions were 59 gigatons in 2019, and they're expected to shoot up by 12% this year as businesses resume post-COVID. Wars have ravaged entire nations. Wildfires have slashed ecosystems, and our dependence on fossil fuels only seems to be increasing, as we have seen with the present price hike. If anything, the things that are happening are the exact opposite of what world leaders plan for. Ironic.
Welcome to the third episode of our podcast. I'm Avigya, your host for this segment. This is a space where students like us open up about issues that surround us, small and big. And this time, the big climate question. We see conferences and agreements making headlines, hundreds of signatories approving climate action. But are they actually making an effort to go green? Are we actually headed in the right direction? Or is all of this just a clever illusion to give us hope when actually nothing is being done? This episode, Cop or Con. Today with us, we have Amrusha, Anmol, Lasang, and Ashim in the discussion.
So, before we begin, let me introduce you all to what COP is. Basically, it is the Paris Agreement but on steroids. It has similar details and goals like the Paris Agreement, but is more wise worded. A bunch of world leaders gathered together one day and made promises for a greener future. And we all know how that goes.
Wait, so are they lying? I mean, we've seen it multiple times, right? Broken promises by people who we consider our leaders. I mean, dominant nations, including the US and China, have still not signed the agreement on zero carbon emissions by 2050, which really shows how money-hungry these leaders truly are. Risking the adversities climate change brings just for the development of their economy?
Honestly, it's obvious in their behavior. Politicians fly from city to city in their private jets, producing hundreds of more pounds of carbon emissions than if they had just used the train. The funny thing is that they are the ones pledging for net zero in summits regarding the climate. The climate. See how it just goes in one ear and out of the other?
Alright, just hold it. We have international problems, but what about the things that are happening in our own country? Just look at what's happening within our own borders. Remember just 2 months ago how activists and even our finance minister rejoiced at the idea of the Nidkar International Airport going ahead? The airport's first phase would mean some 600,000 or so trees being cut down and some 2,500 hectares of native charcoal just being cut down. No big deal, right? Totally no big deal.
Thank God the Supreme Court scrapped that project. But it really got me thinking. Can the Supreme Court always be there to protect the environment? I mean, how many projects have to be scrapped before the MLPS really understand?
Understand? I doubt they even have the patience for putting in the effort to understand. By the looks of it, they're just trying to hastily swipe the whole issue away. They're doing what they can to make it seem as if they're coming up with a real solution. But all that happens behind closed doors is dilly-dallying, to the point that I think their actual climate agenda isn't very far from being how to pretend to be combating climate change by not doing anything at all.
Yeah, remember the wildfires last year? It was said that they swept across 69 districts in Nepal, including the alpine forests in Manang. And what did they do? They told us to wear masks and stay home for 4 days. That was it. See how our leaders waited for it to all go away? Like, why even bother, right? It's just gonna magically vanish now.
As of now, Kathmandu holds the position of the 15th most polluted city in the world. Pretty impressive, right? As a citizen, I feel nothing is happening and I feel left out of this whole picture. Mountains of waste still litter the city, and I still have to scrunch my nose up as I pass rivers. And do I even have to talk about it? It's pathetic. It's not okay.
Right. And the worst part is, all of it makes me feel like I can do nothing about it. It's like, even if one does make an effort, the incompetency of the people and the government will just water it all down to nothing. We've seen this how many times now? Like, we've had to pledge not to use plastic, all for nothing. We've seen it with the countless Bagmati cleaning campaigns that have been done over the years, which have all gone to waste. It's as if individual effort will never make it happen, because over time, things always just bounces back to how they were before, and that really discourages me.
I hear all your concerns. It's almost as if when our leaders think of green, the only thing that comes to their mind is the color of money. But where are we really headed with this? Are we going to blame leaders, administrators, and lawmakers and call it a day? Is there no second side to this? If they are taking no action and fooling us with their words, then aren't we the stupid ones? If we start feeling like we can't make an impact and accept the status quo for what it is, what makes us any better than them? Aren't we the ones supposed to be informed to make rational choices? Why are we the ones being conned?
Avigya does have a point. While our leaders do deserve their share of blame, I think we as people are only wasting our time and effort telling them off. I'm not implying that we as people can do anything. I'm not trying to give that cliche motivational talk no one asked for. All I'm trying to say is that it must start with us and it can start small.
Yeah, I agree. But starting small doesn't mean we can just keep on taking the easy way out and keep preaching and rechanting the 3R principle over and over again. It's been imprinted, it's been engraved into the memories of many. It just doesn't work anymore. I think we can do better. People have heard that enough. They know that by reducing, recycling, reusing, we can help the environment. The problem is no one bothers to do it. It just has become so mundane. These statements have become so weightless that people just don't realize the actual issue behind it.
Oh, people being unbothered is nothing new here. Do you remember the news about a truck dumping trash like a week ago?
Oh yeah, that news made me see red. Apparently, some truck driver was casually dumping a truck full of waste into a river. As careless as it sounds, what depresses me is how easily someone can think of throwing wastes into a river. The bigger problem here is people's attitudes. We don't want to kick in the habit. No law or policy can change that.
True. I'm pretty sure by the end of the month the news will be buried deep in the graves. Besides, at this point I feel like people have started to take the issue as a joke. Alright, hear me out. So like there's this idea in Nepali society that as long as people don't throw waste wrappers out of their vehicles during road trips, it won't feel like Nepal anymore.
Yeah, that's another problem. The fact that we are normalizing this. When the notion of change comes up, eyes are directed to our generation. People look up to us. They say we have the potential to strive for the better. But what I fear is that this stagnant mentality is turning into a habit, even for us.
It's easy to point to major conferences and blame it on corrupt politics, but come on now. Look at yourself. When's the last time you went out of your way to ride a bike, or walk, or even just made sure the lights in your room were off? It's simple, but are you doing enough?
Wow, alright. Well, I personally don't think I'm doing enough. Honestly, I feel like I'm hearing about this battle and waiting for the cavalry to come running in while I watch it from a TV screen.
Okay, the very fact we're talking about this is a step forward. In many ways, I feel that climate change is one of the most studied recent event in our modern society. We have already like 3 decades worth of data backing up the claims that scientists have made, a lot of people have made, but that overinformation and the ready availability of the data has led to the rise of critics and deniers and skeptics, but that is a part of the problem. We are people who have the right to choose and believe in what we want to believe in. And some of us are actively choosing to believe in things that are just not real.
Right. We're all concerned and we all know what we can do better. That is what matters. We don't have answers and you don't either. But letting our thoughts out does indeed help.
We don't want to tell you to go vegan. We don't want to tell you to stop using plastic. We don't want to tell you not to litter.
Truth be told, we don't want to tell you to do any of that stuff, because at the end of the day, you're gonna forget it. And so are we. All we want is for you to change the way you look at the situation and think differently. As they say, change the way you look at things, and things you look at change.
Do what you believe will benefit this cause. Educate others. Share how you feel. Not all of us have to agree, but all of us have to be part of this. That is it for this segment. We shall return with another episode, but until then, thank you and goodbye.